Hello and welcome into the final drive here on DMVSTREAM.com. I'm Jeremy Huber, your host for the proceedings. A little different show than normal tonight with a lot of cancellations, a lot of games moved later in the night. So, of course, if you don't know how this radio show works, a bit of a one-man gang, yours truly. So, kind of getting through the scores, getting everything for you, looking things up on Twitter, all the different things. And tonight, a little tougher because it didn't have a little built-in time. Usually, when you look at Maryland and a lot of their game times at 6:30, and, the DC schools a lot of times playing at 6. A lot of the Northern Virginia schools play at 7, and then maybe you'll get some late games, some 7:30 starts. Well, Maryland, most of their games, at least in the eastern part of Maryland, canceled tonight due to the thunderstorm. Some of them got underway, then canceled out about maybe first or second quarter. Some big games over there that ended up getting canceled. Also, some games late starts, your Montgomery County games, your games in Fairfax County, your games in Loudoun County. Still have some games ongoing. Seeing one game, West Potomac and West Springfield actually didn't start until after 9 o'clock. So almost like old-time Monday Night Football. We're not getting the games in. So basically, this is what the show is going to be like tonight. Usually said we have all the scores for you. We have a lot of interviews. We may have some interviews tonight, just not really sure yet. We've got some calls out, got some texts out to coaches. Hey, if you want your coach to be on the show, let him know. Hey, let him know. He can go ahead and give us a text, give us a tweet. We'll let him. We'll get them on the show, talk about their game tonight. Again, if you want to hook up with us on the show, it's easy to do. Do it at tweet us at DMVStream and hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Well, let's go through the scores that we have at this point. We have some finals in, though. A lot of games are still in progress. Shockingly, at 11 o'clock, like we said, it's almost like a little bit old school. I know when I was coming through the ranks in the 90s, most of the schools in the Loudoun, Fairfax area had all 7:30 kickoffs. Those have been moved up over the years where it's more of a usually 7 o'clock starts in that area. Some go a little bit later on, but it's kind of back to that tonight, actually even later, just getting these games in. And, of course, one of the reasons that they have to do that's one of the reasons all the Maryland games got canceled tonight. Some conflicts with referees who are doing both collegiate and high school games. So they don't have free reign to go ahead and just reschedule games tomorrow, though, because of, I'm sure, scheduling, you're seeing some interesting reschedulings tonight into tomorrow. We're seeing some varsity games being played at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. You almost never see that in high school football, even on reschedules. You'll never really see a game earlier than maybe noon, but this time it will be that way as they're going to go ahead and play some of these games tomorrow morning just to make sure they get them in. A lot of games, though, from over in Maryland going to be played tomorrow, going to be played on Monday night. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how it all breaks down. But let's go ahead and run down. Let's start with the top 20. Number 1, DeMatha in action tomorrow. They were scheduled to play tomorrow. They're going to be taking on McNamara, a 2 p.m. start at McNamara tomorrow. Number 2, Damascus. They rolled over Blake tonight, 56-20. Number 3, Lake Braddock. They also get lucky tonight. They were not playing. They will go ahead and face off with TC Williams tomorrow. That is a 3 p.m. scheduled start. Elsewhere, W.T. Woodson in South County. This one actually was close at the half. Last score we had in from that one, number 4, South County, only up on W.T. Woodson by a touchdown at the half, though that one's getting a little bit later. We'll have an update for you as well. Old Mill, North County, I believe that one was postponed. Don't see any official word yet, though, of course, over in Anne Arundel County, where Old Mill is. Arundel, they canceled their game of Broadneck tonight. That one was expected to be a pretty good one. That one got postponed. All those games we've seen have been postponed, so we're assuming that one is postponed as well. Number 6, Westfield beats Briar Woods tonight, 36-0. Nice tidy win for the Bulldogs, and a tough one for Briar Woods as they're shut out. And you look at Westfield really doing pretty well ever since that loss to South County. That one right after a lot of the some suspensions for the Westfield team for guys being at a party. I believe they've integrated those guys back in. At least a few of those guys have come back in for the Bulldogs, but they're playing very good football now. Had the win over Stonebridge a few weeks ago. They got some tough ones coming up, but the Bulldogs doing some good things. As for Briarwood's 2-5 record, and got to believe, of course, Briarwood's at one point won 3 straight state championships, played for a 4th, and has to be one of their lowest records in a long time. I believe maybe out 7-8 years they've been this far under 500 this late in the season. But when you look at the games they've lost, tough to completely kill the Falcons. Lost to Tuscarora early in the season by a touchdown. They're a top 10 ranked team. We'll talk about them just a second. They had an interesting game tonight. They lose to South County, the 4th ranked team in the area. They lose to West Potomac, who looks like they may obviously in that old Conference 7, old Patriot District, a very tough team there. Lost a close one on a late blocked field goal. Briarwood's also losing to crosstown rival Broad Run in a close game. Broad Run scored a late touchdown to make it, I believe, a 14-point spread. But then also the Spartans dropping one again to Westfield tonight. So Briarwood's at 2-5 on the season as they fall to Westfield tonight, 36-0. Duval and Wise, it's number 7 versus number 8. They're going to go ahead and restart that one at 7 p.m. on Monday. That one was score was tied when they ended up stopping, I believe, either late first or early second quarter, but those two that anticipated PG County showdown will be played on Monday, a 7 p.m. start. They'll restart it from where they picked it up. Number 9, Tuscarora with a thrilling win tonight as they beat Potomac Falls 21-20. Daniel Smith of the Huskies with a long touchdown pass to Nick Sproul, Speroni, for with 28 seconds left to go ahead and give the Huskies the victory. Potomac Falls actually led that one 14-0 at the half. Tuskegee came back to tie it. Then Potomac Falls took the lead but missed an extra point, opening the door for Tuscarora. They come down, drive the field after Potomac Falls was stopped on downs. PF got the ball back late, unable to move it, throw an interception to end the game. But thought Potomac Falls might have a big upset. Of course, we thought last year they beat Briarwoods. That was kind of the beginning of their stumbles for the Falcons. But Potomac Falls in that very, very tough Conference 14 that includes Stonebridge, also includes Broad Run, Briarwoods, as we said, also in their Tuscarora. So really some very, very good teams. When you look at Tuscarora, Broad Run in there, also Stonebridge right around the top 20 usually, and maybe when their quarterback Joe Thompson gets back, they may get back into it. But Potomac Falls showing they're no slouch, losing to Tuscarora tonight. Tuscarora stays unbeaten on the season. Really some very winnable games for the Huskies as they close the season out with Stonebridge and Broad Run and in the playoffs. So really backloaded for the Huskies after some tough earlier games. Number 10, Seneca Valley was up big on Watkins Mill last attempt. We'll go ahead and get a score for you as soon as possible on that one. Number 11, Yorktown, also with a rout of Yorktown. They were headed down the stretch in that contest as well. Number 12, Quince Orchard, big over Churchill tonight, 49-13. That's going to set up a nice one next week between Quince Orchard and Northwest, and that it's always a very well anticipated game. Should be again this week or next week, as it will be again Quince Orchard taking on Northwest in what's usually a really good matchup there in Montgomery County. Number 13, St. John's. They'll be hosting St. Mary's Riken on Saturday. Of course, remember, St. John's getting beat, getting pulled away from really in the second half against DeMatha, while St. Mary's Riken played Gonzaga pretty close in their contest. It's number 14, Good Counsel in action tonight as they face off with Carroll. And right now, Good Counsel with I believe a 21-0 lead. They're only into, I believe, the third quarter. Actually, now into the fourth quarter. In that one, 21-6, it is now Good Counsel on top of Carroll as Carroll tries to avoid their second straight loss. Number 15, Howard, they were postponed tonight against Centennial. They'll play that one on Monday, a 4 p.m. start in that contest for Howard and Centennial. Elsewhere, it's number 16, Gonzaga at O'Connell. That is another Saturday, regularly scheduled Saturday start as the Eagles and the Knights will face off at 1 p.m. on Saturday in Arlington. Elsewhere, number 17, Paint Branch had their game postponed. That's going to be one of those ones that's going to be played early in the day tomorrow, a 10 a.m. start against Einstein. So Paint Branch will look to stay unbeaten in that contest. The early start, we saw a little bit tonight. Some of the late starts kind of got some teams. We'll see how the Panthers are able to go ahead and respond to that. Number 18, Spalding, with a very nice win tonight. They beat Calvert Hall 42-7. Moves Spalding to 6-1 on the season. Their only loss coming to St. John's earlier on in the year. The Spalding's reward now, they'll face off with Gilman next week, and that's a battle of teams ranked in the top 10 of Maryland-only schools, so that should be a fun one next week of Spalding, again, moving up in the classification this year and looking to kind of flex their muscles against some very good teams. Elsewhere, it was number 19, Sherwood and Northwood. Don't have a score on that, though we believe that one has been that may have been postponed. Of course, if it hasn't, we'll go ahead and get you a score as soon as we can. Number 20, Hilton, a big they had a big spread over Garfield tonight in their contest. So that's your look at the top 20. What we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with some more scores after this. We also believe we're going to have a guest coming up in just a bit, so stay tuned after the break. It could be a little bit of that tonight. It could be some mystery guest, so stay tuned here on the Final Drive. Remember, want to tweet us, go ahead and do it at DMVStream and hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. That's DMVStream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. More after this. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. And welcome back in here on The Final Drive. We're going to be joined right now by the head coach of the Oakton Cougars, Jason Rowley. His team with a nice win tonight, knocking off Centerville by a count of 28-24. Coach Rowley, congratulations, and thanks for joining us on the show.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Again, an interesting night with a lot of cancellations, delays, and such. But your guys go get a win. And I thought it was interesting tonight when obviously you guys and Centerville kind of came into this game on losing streaks, but the talent level of teams you're playing against so tough. Was there somewhat of a saying to yourself, hey, man, we got to go get ourselves a win just because of the fact that it's so tough. Our schedules are so crazy, and this is a good chance for us?
Yeah, I think that Centerville's a really good football team. I think they're, very similar to us in the fact that we've had a tough run, tough schedule, but that's life in the Concord. I mean, we've been living that, for years and years here at Oakton and all of us in the Concord district. So we're used to tough schedules and, we're used to facing some adversity during the regular season and learning how to bounce back. And so tonight was a great bounce back game for us. We talked all week long to the kids that, tonight was just about us and about us executing, and I was really proud of the way in which they were able to come out and execute their assignments and get back on the right the ship there. So we're really proud of our kids and their efforts.
Following along a bit on Twitter, saw that you guys won this one on a defensive stand at the end. Can you tell us a little bit about what your defense was able to do late stages?
Yeah, I think that Centerville's been able to run the ball really well all season long against everybody, and we came in all week long just talking about how important it was to stop their running game. And, we had our backs against the wall. We scored there to go up. And then, unfortunately, we had a personal foul penalty on the kickoff and put us in a bad position. And we were able to get them, to the fourth down. And we came up with a huge stop. And, I just felt like our defense was solid all night. We gave up a couple of touchdowns, but that's what happens when you play a really good offense. And Centerville's just that. They have a good offense. They have a good offensive scheme. And got a ton of respect for Coach Haddock and what they do over there. But, our guys were able to come through in the end and prevail. And I think it has everything to do with their ability to stick together. And, it was just a great team win for us. It wasn't just the defensive side of the ball. We needed a touchdown there in the fourth quarter, and we were able to drive the ball and punch one in. So it was a great team win for us.
Talk a little bit about that touchdown drive. I know you guys put it in with about 3 minutes left in the game, and obviously any type of fourth quarter drive is going to be a good one the coach is going to like. Talk about that and some of the guys who may have stood out there late in the game for you on the offensive end.
Yeah, I think that, we've had some struggles there in the second half all season long, and, specifically the last 3 weeks, we haven't come out and played very well in the second half, and we focused all week long on, talking about being down, and we put our team in positions in practice this week. We're down 7, we're down 14. Our offense needs to move the ball, and they just felt very confident in the position they were in. I thought South Tony, our quarterback, did a great job, and Jared Bacon, he's been clutch for us all season, and we kept the ball in those guys' hands, and then Plumper has done a great job running the ball for us all year, and we trusted them, and our offensive line, they were opening up some big holes for us. So we did, we just executed down the stretch and we're able to punch one in. And couldn't be proud of our offense. They've struggled a little bit the last couple of weeks, and they were able to bounce back and put up 28 points on a good football team.
Yeah, and you talk about how tough everything is in that conference. Moving forward, obviously you guys face off with Chantilly next week. You got Broad Run down the stretch, but then some winnable games against Falls Church and Herndon. Is this the type of game that you maybe feel with your guys, you've kind of, in a sense, I'm not going to say get past, because Chantilly is a great team as well, and obviously Broad Run's very good, but maybe a jumping off point where you guys can kind of catch your breath and say, hey, rest of this schedule, we've got a chance to maybe do some really good things down the stretch here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that every game each week we've been in every game. I think that we've just had some struggles in the second half, and we've had to make some adjustments in terms of what we're doing to start off in the second half. It felt like I've been coaching a long time here at Oakton, and we haven't done anything different this year in terms of our halftime adjustments or anything like that. And we just had to change some things up tonight, so we did. And at halftime, and it felt like we just came out just better prepared to play in the second half than we have the past 2 weeks. We just talked about finishing all week long, and our guys were able to do that. Yeah, we see it as a jumping off point. We see this game as anytime you beat a team that's been to 2 state championships in the past 2 years, and that's a huge win. That's a huge win. So yeah, we definitely see it as a jumping off point for the remainder of the year for us.
Jason Rowley joining us here on the Final Drive, head coach of the Oakton Cougars, his team with a nice 28-24 win over Centerville tonight. One last one for you, Coach. I was lucky enough to do some games this off season with the doing some things for USA Football and their national teams. I know you got a guy on the team in Pierce Banbury, a guy who's been a part of that program, was named to the under-18 national team. Talk a little bit about him and maybe some of the things, if you've seen any improvements from him being in that program for USA Football, maybe what it's done for his play and maybe some things he does for your team.
Yeah, I think Pierce has done a great job ever since he entered our school as a freshman, and he's He's been a varsity player for this is his third year being a varsity football player, and his first varsity start was against Westfield as a freshman, and so we threw him in the fire. We've had a lot of faith in him, and he's just a worker. He doesn't take days off in terms of the off season, and Christmas Day he's working out. That's the kind of kid he is, and he I think being involved with USA football certainly helped him. It's helped him with some exposure for him because I think he's a really good football player. He's one of the strongest kids in the region, and he works at it, and he's got really good feet. I think him being a multi-sport athlete has really helped that, his athleticism, and we're really excited for him, really proud of the fact that he's got the opportunity to represent our country and play down in Texas here late January, early February. I think that Pierce is one of the big reasons why we were able to get a win tonight because we ran the ball behind him a lot of times tonight because we knew he'd get us some movement up front. So we're really proud of him, and I look for big things for him for the remainder of the year.
Well, I think a lot of folks will be looking at you guys for some big things down the stretch here. Oakton with a nice 28-24 win over Centerville tonight. Their head coach, Jason Rowley, congratulations on the win, and thanks for joining the show.
I appreciate you having me. Take care.
And Coach Rowley, again, doing some good things with that Oakton program, and it was one of those things tonight. You look at that matchup, and both teams came in on 3-game losing streaks. It wasn't exactly what either one wanted, but the situation, one of them was going to get the win, a hard-fought win, and now Oakton, as we said, that schedule down the stretch, game against Chantilly, game at Broad Run after the Spartans kind of get back on their home field, but then Falls Church and Herndon. If you're Oakton, you have to say to yourself, hey, man, it'd be a nice 6-4 record maybe coming down the stretch, maybe even 7-3 if we can pull an upset there. You may be looking for a nice playoff berth because of the fact that there are a lot of teams right now in contention for playoff spots kind of knocking each other off. We'll see how it goes for them, but the Cougars would love to go ahead and get in the playoffs. And again, when you play in that old Concord division, you're always used to that physical football. Nothing anybody can throw at you, you're not going to be ready for. We'll see what they're able to do coming down the stretch. Again, make sure you stay tuned. We got more coming up. We're going to have another guest coming up on the show after this quick break. Remember, if you want to go ahead and tweet us, do it at DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. More of the Final Drive coming up right after this. Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites. Delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks in the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning, Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. Welcome back into the final drive. Jeremy Huber back with you. Maybe joined in just a bit by Blair head coach Dr. Andrew Fields, his team with a nice win over Springbrook tonight. So we may be checking in with him in just a bit. Want to update you on a few more scores that have just come into us. We have confirmation that Broad Run has won their game tonight against Yorktown. That one was a blowout at the half. Also tonight, we have just the final score in for Good Counsel, a winner over Carroll tonight, 28-12. The Falcons beat the Lions, so Carroll drops their second straight. Elsewhere, we gave you the top 20s earlier, a couple other games from earlier on today and games that have gone ahead and finished off. Sidwell Friends, a winner tonight in some MAC action as they beat Potomac School 47-17. Ted Hefter, the quarterback for Sidwell Friends, 3 touchdown passes. Mark Chichester had 3 total touchdowns for Sidwell Friends. Friendship Collegiate, a winner over Silver Oak Academy, 43-7. That was one of the few games under the DC umbrella that actually got played. All the DC public school games were canceled tonight. Some of them got underway, and then they didn't go ahead and play them the rest of the way. So, but that one, Friendship with the win there, 43-7 over Silver Oak Academy. Elsewhere, Blue and Wilson, that one was postponed. Wilson had an 8-0 lead in that one before the game was postponed. I believe they're going to pick that one up with that same score. That'll be played, I believe. Don't have a date yet on that one. Earlier, like we said, all the DC public school games were postponed or will be played later on. We'll get you some information when we have it on that. Bell was leading McKinley in their game 8-7 when that one was postponed. Dunbar and Anacostia were scoreless when their game was PPD'd. Also, Theodore Roosevelt was up on Cardozo 14-0 when their game was postponed. Over to Maryland tonight, where Arundel and Broadneck were playing a matchup. Arundel trying to avoid their 3rd straight loss. Broadneck trying to kind of solidify themselves going into their matchup later in the season against Old Mill. That one postponed will now be played on Monday, a 6:30 start in that contest for Arundel and Broadneck. We'll stay with the Broads right now as Broad Run. We finally have that score in 51-3. They beat Yorktown. So the Spartans continue to roll on undefeated on the season. Of course, they've got games still on the schedule with Stonebridge and Tuscarora coming up later on in the year. Elsewhere, it was Calvert and Patuxent. That one was a really big anticipated showdown tonight. They will now play on Monday, a 7 p.m. start on Monday for that one. I believe they may have got that one underway today, but they did not go too deep into it. So they're going to go ahead and play on Monday, 7 p.m. start time in that contest. Elsewhere, it was Glen Burnie and Southern had their game postponed. They'll now play on Monday, a 5 p.m. start for Glen Burnie and Southern in that contest. Elsewhere, Great Mills and Leonardtown, they were postponed until Monday at 6 p.m. Also, Huntingtown and Northern, they'll play tomorrow, a 2 p.m. start in that contest. Elsewhere, Magruder and Walter Johnson, they were postponed until Monday at 6:30 p.m. One game played in Maryland tonight. A lot of the cancellations did come from Maryland, but it was Westlake a winner over Lackey tonight, 18-6. Interesting one over there as Chopticon led North Point 12-0 at the half. The Braves came into that one at 4-1. They're kind of resurgent, getting one of their running back in that contest, or a couple of contests to go or from the end of last year, and they're playing very well. North Point came in unbeaten, but Chopticon with the lead. They're going to pick that one up with that score in the second quarter on Monday. Oakland Mills and Marriott's Ridge, that one was an anticipated showdown as well in Howard County. That one postponed until Monday, a 5:30 start. Northwest beat Richard Montgomery tonight. The Jaguars getting the win over Richard Montgomery, handing the Rockets their first loss of the season. Northwest winning that contest again by a 29-12 score over Richard Montgomery. Elsewhere, Severna Park and Annapolis, they had their game postponed until Monday. That will now be a 4:30 start at Annapolis. Elsewhere, McDonough and Thomas Stone got their game underway. They'll go ahead and restart it tomorrow. That'll be a 10 a.m. start in that contest. Wooten and Rockville also postponed to a 10 a.m. contest tomorrow. Elsewhere, over in Virginia, we just talked to head coach Jason Rowley of Oakton. His squad beating Centerville 28-24. Jarrett Bacon with a 9-yard touchdown run with under 3 minutes to play to go ahead and give Oakton the win in that one. Dominion rolls over Loudoun County tonight, 41-0. Titans had a 20-0 lead at the end of the first quarter. Wakefield a winner over Edison, 36-18. Warriors kind of solidifying their hold as one of the co-favorites right now in their district. And again, it'd probably be them and looking like Marshall right now could be the two teams playing for all the marbles there. We'll see how that goes throughout the rest of the season. But Wakefield, after a shaky start to the year, kind of getting things going. I think one of their losses, I believe, maybe coming to Potomac Falls. We saw how good Potomac Falls has been this season. One game postponed. Forest Park and Colonial Forge will now play tomorrow in a 1 o'clock start. Hayfield a winner tonight as they beat Fairfax 40-20. As the Hawks get the win there over Fairfax. Right now, Hayfield kind of looking like tri-contenders, I guess we'll use that word, in their conference along with South Lakes and also Madison right now in their conference. So we'll see how that all kind of shakes out. But those three looking like the class of their league. A couple other games that we do have scores on. A lot of games that either wrapping up or just getting over. Robinson a winner tonight, another strong road win. They beat Chantilly last week. Now they beat Stonebridge this week, 27-20. Sean Foncho with the game-winning touchdown with 49 seconds left to go in the game to go ahead and give the Rams the win there. So the Rams, again, improve. I believe they have 2 losses on the season, but both against some really quality competition where Stonebridge now falling to 3-3. Remember their quarterback, Joe Thompson, son of Mickey Thompson, their head coach, out for a while, but he'll be back relatively soon. But that'll be interesting to see where Stonebridge kind of falls to, because, again, we talked about how they have so many tough games on the schedules, teams in their conference, teams they play when it comes to non-conference games, really some tough schedules. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how that goes for the Bulldogs. But again, a nice win for Robinson tonight. They move forward, still in contention in conference 5. Considering who they haven't played yet, still have Westfield on the schedule, I believe. So we'll see how it goes for the Rams, but obviously a quality win for them tonight. John Champ, they stayed unbeaten on the year, beating Rockridge of Loudoun County 49-7. Rockridge, a first-year program. Also, Washington Lee a winner tonight as they beat Langley 23-20. That was an overtime game in that contest. So remember, got a lot of games again that are wrapping up. Just got another score in here. West Springfield with an impressive win over West Potomac tonight, 28-9. In that matchup in a Conference 7 contest. Problem, though, for the Spartans in that one, their standout quarterback, Peter Musket, who I believe had a hand in the first 3 touchdowns of the game for West Springfield, had to leave the game with a leg injury. Actually left the game, came back, but then had to leave again. So it's that's going to be a tough one for them if Musket isn't available. Again, their win over Robinson earlier in the season, real impressive one on their resume. That was really fueled by Musket. He's been the guy for them this year, so we'll have to see how that leg injury is for Peter Musket. I think the good news, when you kind of go down their schedule the rest of the way, it's not overwhelming, I believe, coming up over the next few for the West Springfield Spartans. I know that they have later in the season, they've got some of their tougher games, but I think right now looking okay for Musket. If it's just maybe a turned ankle or something like that, maybe okay. They do have TC Williams next week. Then actually they do have a tough one, the one against Lake Braddock. They already played South County earlier in the season, lost that one by 2. So again, West Springfield trying to do some things there, also losing to Stonebridge last week. So they obviously looking at that Lake Braddock game like one they probably have to win if they want a decent playoff spot. Unfortunately for them, they may have to play without Peter Musket. We'll see exactly how things go for them, but have to keep an eye on that as Musket leaving their impressive win over West Potomac tonight with an ankle injury. Again, wrapping things up here on the final drive. You got a score we don't have, go ahead and let us know. Go ahead and send it to us. You can send it to us. You can let us know some tidbits on the game. Do it by tweeting us at DMV Stream, hashtagging it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMV Stream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. We're going to go ahead and take another break. We'll be back after this, kind of getting our bearings on this show tonight. Again, we talked about it. So many cancellations throughout the area in Maryland, so many late games in Virginia that had to be delayed because of lightning and dangerous conditions. So again, we are kind of flying by the seat of our pants in this one, but we're going to have a few more guests, I believe, coming up. So make sure you stay tuned here on the Final Drive here on DMVStream.com.
Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVStream.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com. Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com. And welcome back into the Final Drive here on DMVStream.com. Jeremy Huber coming at you in a later edition than normal. Again, the weather wreaking havoc on the schedule tonight, as a lot of games were either canceled over in Maryland for the most part and D.C. Well, a lot of games in Virginia were delayed, so we had some starts as late as 9 o'clock. Believe West Springfield and West Potomac, they played that one that late. So again, just kind of taking our time, a little more chilled than normal on this one, not kind of rapid firing it today, but it's we're kind of just going along with the flow in this one. Maybe have some more guests coming up for you. Did talk to Jason Rowley, the head coach of the Oakton Cougars, earlier on in the show after his team's win over over Centerville tonight, handing Centerville their fourth straight loss on the season. But again, as we said, both with Coach Rowley's team and with Chris Haddock's team over at Centerville, the teams are playing no slouches. That's what you're kind of getting to. It's almost, and we saw this a little bit this year with the old Conference 5, the Concord District, and the Conference 14, the Potomac District, that has a lot of the top schools in Loudoun County. You're seeing teams kind of get in ruts, and they can't get out of them because of the schedules they're playing. You look at Centerville this year, started the season off 2-0, again, wins over Annandale and Fairfax, and they play Broad Run, Tuscarora, Lake Braddock, and then Oakton tonight. So you're talking about in Broad Run, a team ranked number 11, Tuscarora at number 9, and Lake Braddock at number 3. So you're talking about 3 of the top teams in the area. You lose them all, and one of them was close against Tuscarora. The other 2 ended up being blowouts. Same thing, though, if you're Oakton, and Coach Rowley talked about it. It's not like his team had an easier path. They win their first 2 against Madison and T.C. Williams, then play Tuscarora, play them the 2-touchdown game, play Robinson, lose to them, but Robinson again on the cusp after a nice win over Stonebridge tonight, and then a game against Westfield, and 2 of those conference games, but still 2 very tough and rugged teams. You look up and say, man, we're in the middle of a losing streak, so you got to find a way to stop it, and Oakton was the team to do it tonight. Let's go ahead and run down the top 20 again of what we have for you, at least at this point. Some new things into the final drive here, so we'll go ahead and let you know those. Number 1, DeMatha, of course, did not play tonight. They were off. They'll play tomorrow against McNamara in a 2 p.m. start. Elsewhere, it was Damascus, again, continuing their role at number 2 in the All-Met Sports Poll, a 56-20 win over Blake tonight. Again, don't know if anybody's going to be touching Damascus until maybe late in the season. They've got that game against Seneca Valley, so we'll see exactly how that one shakes out for them, but should be quite the tussle. Of course, we saw Seneca Valley knock off Northwest earlier in the season. Damascus has kind of rolled over everybody, beating Quince Orchard earlier in the season, so should be an interesting one there, but not going to be a likely. Damascus will probably go into that one maybe undefeated on the season so far, and we'll see what Seneca Valley ends up coming into that one at as well. Lake Braddock, number 3 in the area, they face T.C. Williams. That's going to be a game tomorrow, a 1 p.m. start. Elsewhere, it was number 4 South County over W.T. Woodson. That's a new one we just got in. South County wins that one 37-7 to stay unbeaten on the season. North County and number 5 Old Mill, that one has been postponed. It will now be played on Monday in a 5 p.m. start. All of those teams over there having to kind of do that. They already had to play on Monday because of Hurricane Joaquin and actually the stuff before Hurricane Joaquin. So this won't be the worst thing this break here, but then of course you got to come back next week and play some tough games. So we'll see if that kind of affects anybody. We talked about some of those important games in Maryland, your Patuxent and Calvert, also your Chopticon and North Point. And those tough games on a Monday, then coming back, maybe playing a lesser team on Friday night. You don't know how the teams are going to go ahead and react to that, so we'll see exactly what happens. Number 6 Westfield, a winner tonight as they were able to beat Briar Woods 36-0. Westfield, remember, their only loss on the season coming in that matchup against South County. Of course, those 2 teams could see each other in the playoffs. That would not be a shock at all. While on the other side of things, Briar Woods falls down to 2-5 on the season. Remember, that's been a very, very good program, and I don't think they've been down that far, especially that early in the season or this late in the season at that type of record for a long, long time, maybe since the early stages of that program. So it was not exactly what they're looking for in Ashburn. Number 7 Duval, number 8 Wise. They got their game started tonight. They'll restart it at 7 p.m. on Monday. So some true Monday Night Football for the Pumas and the Tigers in that one. Number 9 Tuscarora holds off Potomac Falls, winning 21-20. Daniel Smith to Nick Speroni for a long touchdown pass with 28 seconds left to win it. Potomac Falls led 14-0 at the half, had a fourth quarter lead, missed an extra point, might have forced overtime with that, but instead left the door open for Tuscarora. They got the long touchdown, then they go ahead and kick the extra point and get the win over their rival in conference. Number 10 Seneca Valley, they had a big lead late in their contest against Watkins Mill. Believe they've gone ahead and completed that matchup as they were up 55-0 at the end of the third quarter. Believe they've gone ahead and finished that one off that a little while ago for the Screaming Eagles, who I believe have stayed unbeaten on the season. So again, we talked about that matchup between them and Damascus coming later in the season. Should be a one, I believe, last week of the season. So that should be a really nice game there between those two. 61-0 our final. We've got that one in now. So Seneca Valley gets the big win over Watkins Mill by a 61-0 count. Again, we talked about right now a collision course between Seneca Valley and Damascus. I mean, that's kind of what it's looking like right now in 3A over in Maryland and Montgomery County, because you're just seeing those two teams really just decimate what's in their way. Obviously the Screaming Eagles had the tough one against Northwest, but get the win there, and they're looking really good. So is Damascus. Scheduled down the stretch for Seneca Valley, it's Wheaton, Kennedy, Blake, and then Damascus last game of the season. Damascus about the same coming down the road after their big win over Blake tonight. They've got Whitman, Magruder, Seneca Valley, and they face off with Blair. So Seneca Valley ends their season a week earlier. Blair, again, a team that could give them a tough game. We saw them already. It was the good game against Paint Branch. Also was in their game with Northwest through 3 quarters, and Jaguars kind of poured it on late, but should be a really good game when the Screaming Eagles and the Swarming Hornets match up. That green and gold matchup should be a fun one this year. Elsewhere, number 11 Broad Run, a big win tonight as they beat Yorktown 51-3. The 11th ranked Spartans, they are undefeated on the season. They've got a lot of games coming up, some tough ones coming up, but they're looking very, very good right now. Elsewhere, number 12, Quince Orchard rolled over Churchill 49-13. Quince faces Northwest next week in what should be a pretty interesting matchup. Number 13, St. John's off tonight. They'll face off with St. Mary's Riken. That'll be a matchup tomorrow night, tomorrow afternoon, a 3 p.m. start for that one for the Cadets and the Knights in that contest. Number 14, Good Counsel winner over Carroll tonight, 28-12. It was number 15, Howard, having their game postponed with Centennial. The Lions will go ahead and face off on Monday at 4 p.m. in that contest. Number 16, Gonzaga, their regularly scheduled game against O'Connell tomorrow at 1 p.m. Number 17, Paint Branch, they'll face Einstein tomorrow in a 10 a.m. start. 10 a.m. start at Paint Branch for them and Einstein. Number 18, Spalding rolled over Calvert Hall 42-7. The Spalding 6-1 on the season. They get Gilman next in what should be a very good game. Number 19, Sherwood, they faced off with Northwood tonight. I believe that one was played. Have not seen a score as of yet. They were had that one was in delay. And I believe they've gone ahead and got that one gone. And from accounts that we have so far, it was pretty much a shellacking by Sherwood in that one. As you'd expect, they're coming off that forfeit they had to take early in the season. Last score we had from that one, 49-6. Sherwood was winning. Final score there for Sherwood, 56-6. So, of course, Sherwood, after they lose the game via forfeit, I believe that one coming after their win over Northwest last Saturday, one that was moved back because of the rain. Sherwood looking very good. The Warriors, again, 56-6 over Northwood tonight. Hilton had a big win tonight. They played Garfield, and they were running away with that one. The Bulldogs, again, inching back up into the top 20 after that early loss to Battlefield. Hilton was up in that one 61-20 late in the fourth quarter. That actually was the final. So the Bulldogs again improved their record on the season. Only one loss for them as they beat Garfield tonight 61-20. A couple other ones to pass along, some finals and some postponements in that area. The Prince William, Virginia area, Liberty of Bealton and Manassas Park. That one was postponed. They'll now play that one on Monday. Time to be determined in that contest for the Eagles and the Cougars in that one. So we'll see how that goes for them. Liberty probably get a nice win in that one. But again, Monday PPD for Liberty there. Battlefield a winner tonight as they knocked off Osborne Park 31-14. Riverbend and Woodbridge, that one was late. That one was really delayed. So they had to move that one back. Another interesting one from over there. Brentsville lost their first of the season, falling 6-2 to Fauquier. We'll get a little more into that one in just a bit. What we're going to do now, we're going to go ahead and take a break, and we'll wrap this edition of the Final Drive coming up after this, give you some more of the late coming in scores. We'll also go ahead and we'll also get you up to date on what's going on tomorrow. We talked about a lot of the games, the Catholic League games being played tomorrow. We will talk about all the rest of the games, get you up to date on what's going on. If you want to catch a game, we'll do that coming up next right here on the Final Drive. Remember, if you want to go ahead and tweet to us, do it at DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMVStream. Hashtag it with DMV Final Drive.
Looking for some of the best barbecue in the area? Well, then come on down to Monk's. Monk's Barbecue has all your favorites: delicious pulled pork, tender, moist brisket, and dry rubbed ribs that just fall off the bone, as well as specialty items like pulled chicken, pastrami, and Kansas City burnt ends. Add in delicious sides like Monk's special baked beans, smoked Gouda mac and cheese, vinegar coleslaw, and many more, and you can't get any better. That's Monk's Barbecue in the heart of Loudoun County, online at monksq.com. That's monks and the letter Q.com. And go to their Facebook page to find out more about their live music and drinks.
DMVSTREAM.com produces live broadcasts for professional, semi-pro, and amateur sporting events, as well as colleges, universities, high schools, AAU, and youth tournaments in the Mid-Atlantic. With a client list that includes ESPN, The Washington Post, Monumental Sports Network, CBS.com, USAFootball.com, USLacrosse.org, NCAA.com, the National Federation of High School Sports, and Georgetown University, among others, Synthesis Multimedia has emerged as the Mid-Atlantic's top provider of sports multimedia. Contact us today to learn more about streaming your events live.
Are you a fan of high school sports? Does high school sports attract the type of customers you want for your business? If so, then consider advertising here on The Final Drive. The Final Drive on DMVSTREAM.com is a weekly show dedicated to high school football in the District, Maryland, and Virginia. We update scores and talk to the movers and shakers from Friday night's top games, and we preview the big matchups from Saturday's action. So consider being a part of The Final Drive. For more information about advertising on The Final Drive, contact Jeremy Huber at jrh0001@gmail.com. That's jrh0001@gmail.com.
Montgomery Shade and Awning is a third-generation family business that sells and installs shade systems utilizing awnings and canopies. They specialize in both commercial and residential awnings and have been serving Northern Virginia since 1975. So check out what Rob, Lewis, Brian, and Tom can do for you. Montgomery Shade and Awning. Call 1-800-300-1941 or find them online at montgomeryawning.com.
And welcome back into The Final Drive here on DMVStream.com. Wrapping this one up. Another interesting night in high school football in the DMV, as we saw a lot of cancellations, postponements as well. Not our usual heavy guest list. Had a lot of folks we were expecting to come on after those big games over in Maryland. Of course, they didn't play, so we ended up scrambling. A couple guys nice enough to come and join us on the show. Jason Rowley, head coach of Oakton, of course, joining us on the show. So thank you again to him. His team, his Oakton Cougars, with a big win tonight as they knocked off Centerville 28-24. Let's run down the rest of the scores. We gave you the top 20 a few times already. Let's go ahead and run down the rest of what we have tonight. It was Riverdale Baptist. They're kind of up and down season. We've seen them lose some games, have some impressive wins as well. Another impressive win for Riverdale Baptist tonight. They beat Bullis by a score of 38-17. So Riverdale, again, when you look at all the different teams they play, McNamara, some of the teams like Douglas, they beat them. So it's been kind of up and down for Riverdale Baptist, but they do get the win tonight with a 38-17 win over Bullis. Sidwell Friends over Potomac School 47-17. Friendship Collegiate beat Silver Oak Academy 45-7. All your DC public school games were canceled. No word yet on when all those will be made up. Believe that's probably going to be on Monday. That's where most teams have kind of had to push their games to. But again, that includes Ballou Wilson, McKinley and Bell, Coolidge and H.D. Woodson, Dunbar and Anacostia, and Theodore Roosevelt and Cardozo. Maryland action tonight, Arundel and Broadneck, their big game over in Anne Arundel County. That's been postponed to Monday at 6:30 p.m. Calvert and Patuxent, they'll play Monday at 7 p.m. Glen Burnie and Southern, 5 p.m. on Monday they will play. Elsewhere, it was Great Mills and Leonardtown. That one postponed until Monday at 6 p.m. Huntingtown and Northern, they will go ahead and play now at a 2 p.m. start. That one will be, I believe, tomorrow and their matchup. So again, that's we'll see how that one goes for them. But again, a Saturday start, one of the few teams, most of those games being played over on going to be played on Monday, but instead this one's played tomorrow. An interesting one coming over. Glen Elg falls tonight to Reservoir. Bit of an upset there as Reservoir wins 26-7. Just got that one in, so I want to thank the folks that sent that one in to us. Westlake a winner tonight over Lackey, 18-6. Magruder and Walter Johnson, they're not going to play on Monday at 6:30 p.m. Elsewhere, North Point and Chopticon. Interesting one there. Chopticon had the lead over unbeaten North Point 12-0 in the second quarter. That one has now been postponed until Monday. They will pick up at that point in the contest. So again, Chopticon will have the lead, though you have to think North Point and Tom Petrie, they'll have a chance to kind of get some things settled out and maybe come up with a plan for being behind in that contest. Oakland Mills and Marriott's Ridge, their big game now 5:30 on Monday. Northwest beats Richard Montgomery, hands the Rockets their first loss of the season, 29-12. Northwest has Quince Orchard next week. Severna Park in Annapolis, that one now will be a 4:30 p.m. start on Monday. Be a 4:30 start on Monday for that matchup. Elsewhere, Thomas Stone and McDonough, they had their game postponed until 10 a.m. tomorrow. Again, that's going to be 10 a.m. tomorrow for that contest between Thomas Stone and McDonough. Also have word in that Meade and South River will be played now on Monday at 6 p.m. They'll start 0-0 in the first quarter, about midway through. No admission in that one, so you want to see a free football game, get out there to South River and check out that one between them and Meade on Saturday. On Monday. That one will be for Meade and South River, 6 p.m. start. Elsewhere, Blair a winner over Springbrook tonight. Blair with a nice win, kind of pulled away in that one late over Springbrook, handing Springbrook just their second loss on the season. Springbrook's only other loss coming to Sherwood, I believe, 2 weeks ago. Blair winning that one 38-20. So the Blazers, again, after seeing so many tough teams on that schedule lately, Blair able to break through and get a win 38-20. Elsewhere, Wooten and Rockville, that's going to be a 10 a.m. start, that one tomorrow. One other score, believe we have this one in. It's Clarksburg was facing off with Urbana. First game back in Montgomery County for Dave Carney after moving over to Urbana. That one as Clarksburg with the win, 9-7 over Urbana in that one. So I'm sure a big win for the Coyotes there. Elsewhere in Virginia, again, most of these games got in, though some of them were delayed. Annandale over Mount Vernon, 41-20. It was Battlefield at Osborne Park, 31-14. Oakton with a win over Centerville, 28-24. Dominion routs Loudoun County, 31-0. Wakefield over Edison, 36-18. South Lakes faced off tonight with Herndon in the Baron Cameron Bowl. Of course, the rivals there in Reston and Herndon. South Lakes had a big lead in this one. Did not get a final confirmation on their final score as of yet, but the Hornets falling in that one to South Lakes. I believe that one actually final score, South Lakes with the win there, 50-13 over their rival from down the road. Liberty and Manassas Park, that one's now going to be played on Monday. Going to be, I believe, a 5 p.m. start in that contest on Monday. Actually, no time as of yet for those two teams, but again, they will go ahead and play that one next on Monday, and it when PPD'd at Manassas Park. Elsewhere, Madison with a win over Marshall tonight. Of course, Madison, a little tougher conference. They're competing against South Lakes and Hayfield, while Marshall, of course, looking like they could be a contender with Wakefield in Conference 13. We'll see how that goes. But Madison with the win over Marshall tonight, 32-6, in a bit of a rivalry game there. Elsewhere, it was Mountain View. They beat Potomac of Virginia 35-13 tonight to go ahead and get a win there. Chantilly was in action tonight as they beat McLean. That one was another late final, 27-7. They got a late start there in Chantilly as well, but the Chargers kind of get back on the right track in that contest. Elsewhere, Lee edges Falls Church 28-27. Remember, Falls Church seen as kind of a co-favorite with Wakefield in Conference 13 right now. They're struggling as they fall to Lee. I believe that's Lee's first win on the season. If it's not the first, I'm pretty sure it's at least the second. So good job for Lee to go ahead and get that win as they knock off Falls Church by the count of 28-27 in an exciting contest there. Elsewhere, we talked about it a little bit earlier as Brentsville took their first loss of the season, falling to Fauquier 6-2. So a baseball score there, but it was Fauquier knocking off Brentsville there. Of course, really Brentsville's first game against the team, not their first conference game. That was last week against Manassas Park, but Manassas Park, formerly a lower level 2A school, I believe, in Virginia, kind of moving up this year. Again, though, they this time Fauquier school established at that level of play, and Brentsville, they take the loss in that one by a count of 6-2. Elsewhere, it was Osborne beating Stonewall Jackson 33-28. Chris Samuels getting his second win of his tenure at Osborne, the former offensive tackle for the Washington Redskins. Forest Park and Colonial Forge, that one has been postponed till tomorrow, a 1 p.m. start in that one. George Mason, they beat Riverside 60-37 tonight, a high-scoring game there. Hayfield over Fairfax 40-20. Elsewhere, Heritage stayed. Heritage, I believe, staying unbeaten on the season. The Pride with a nice win tonight as they beat Parkview 54-0. Of course, Heritage, if you didn't know, some struggles for the program in Leesburg, same town where Tuscarora is, but the Pride looking pretty good this year in different levels, so they won't play in the playoffs. But the Pride, so far on the season, they are unbeaten, move their record tonight to 6-0, though. Got two tough ones the next 2 weeks against Woodgrove and Champ. We'll see what they're able to do with those two. But again, 54-3, it was Heritage beating Parkview. Riverbend, they beat Woodbridge tonight 26-13. Robinson with a nice win over Stonebridge 27-20. Sean Foncha with a late touchdown run in that one to move the Rams to 4-2. Stonebridge falls to 3-3 on the season. Champ all over Rockridge tonight 49-7. Elsewhere, it was Washington Lee. They beat Langley 23-20 in overtime to spoil the Saxons' homecoming. Elsewhere, West Springfield with a nice win tonight as they beat West Potomac by a count of 28-9. But the problem in that one, they lose Peter Musket, their standout quarterback, to a leg injury. Do not know how serious it is as of yet, but obviously, as important as he is for that team, we don't want to see him go down. We'll see exactly what it is. Remember, they got T.C. Williams next week, but they got the big one coming up against Lake Braddock. One looked like they could definitely do some things with. If without Musket, going to be really tough to go ahead and get the win. Elsewhere, it was Woodgrove. They, again, keep their winning streak going after losing their first of the season to Champ. They win tonight over Freedom 56-3. So again, that kind of sets up their big win next week as they will face off with Heritage of Leesburg. Should be a nice contrast of styles in that one in your kind of Conference 21 matchup there. Again, all those teams fighting for playoff positioning and also conference championships. So we'll see exactly how that all plays out. Real quickly, want to go ahead and run down what we've got tomorrow on the schedule. We'll do it in order. Of course, we have a lot of those games that are postponed for tomorrow. I gave you those earlier. These are regularly scheduled games for tomorrow. 12 o'clock start for Wild Lake and Hammond. Elsewhere, it'll be T.C. Williams hosting Lake Braddock at 1. Loudon Valley travels over the mountain as they'll take on Hanley of Winchester at 1. Gaithersburg and Whitman at 1. Also, Gonzaga and O'Connell at 1. 1:30 start for Benedictine and Georgetown Prep at Georgetown Prep. Archbishop Curley comes to Severn School for a 2 o'clock start. Rest of these are 2 o'clock starts. They include Bishop Ireton at Flint Hill. Oxon Hill hosting C.H. Flowers. DeMatha at McNamara. Douglas at Crossland. Eleanor Roosevelt at Bowie. St. Stephen's, St. Agnes hosts Episcopal in a crosstown rivalry. Also, Forestville at Fairmont Heights. Friendly at Surrattsville. Potomac of Maryland hosting Gwynn Park, which should be a good one. Suitland hosting High Point. Largo is at Central. Parkdale hosting Laurel. Also, Athlone hosting Mount Hebron. Northwestern travels to Bladensburg. Phelps at Eastern. Kennedy hosting Wheaton. And a 3 o'clock start tomorrow. That one will be St. John's and St. Mary's Riken. So that's going to wrap up the show for us tonight. An interesting show, but hey, we got through it. Again, just one guest joining us on the show tonight. That was the head coach of the Oakton Cougars, Jason Rowley, but he was a very happy coach tonight as his squad gets the win over Centerville 28-27 to go ahead and get their win and break their 3-game losing streak, though a 3-game losing streak against some very tough teams. I'm sure very happy as he moves on in Concord District play. That's going to do it for us on the show. I want to thank all the people to help bring you this broadcast. Again, you want to give us some feedback to it at the final drive tweet us at DMV Stream and hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. Again, that's DMV Stream, hashtag it with DMV Final Drive. I'm Jeremy Huber. Remember, come on back next week. Hopefully the rain won't wreak havoc with the show. Some huge games on the schedule next week. If you weren't exactly sure, there are some really good ones on the slate. We'll be trying to catch up with all the coaches from the winning teams. Some of the games on that slate next week include matchups between Broad Run and Stonebridge. Also, Hilton taking on Colonial Forge. Eastern and Bell on a DC matchup that should be interesting. Also, Gonzaga and DeMatha next week. Northwest and Quince Orchard, always a good battle. Potomac Falls coming off their near win over Tuscarora, playing Briar Woods next week. Westfield and Robinson should be a big one next week. Also, Woodgrove and Heritage. Also, some ones on the weekend that should be interesting, like Avalon, Riverdale Baptist, Bullis, and Episcopal. Also in that group of games. Also, Wise and Eleanor Roosevelt. Remember, Wise will be coming off that big one against Duval. We'll see if they've got enough to get through that gauntlet and come out of it undefeated on the other side. Again, I'm Jeremy Huber. This has been The Final Drive, and we'll see you next week.